Pretty happy? Well, technically there. All right, welcome to City Council, 20th of May, 2026. We'll start with the roll call.
Councilmember Powell,
Present.
Councilmember Norfelt,
Here.
Mayor Larson,
Here.
Councilmember Deline,
Here.
Councilmember Beal,
Here.
and Councilmember Steck.
Here. Excellent. I turned our prayer and pledge over to our newly crowned Misty for royalty. Guess one of them's gonna do the prayer, one's the pledge. You get the prayer again?
Yeah.
You're asking question. Did last time.
Yeah. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day and we're thankful to be able to meet together again and be able to discuss more about our beautiful city that we live in. And please bless that we'll be able to make the choices that have the best impact on where we live in the community. And please bless that we'll be able to be cordial to those around us and be able to deal with things in a peaceful manner. And please bless that we'll be able to leave this meeting feeling like the best choices were made. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should have a pageant every month. Have them take care of both city council. So tonight we have a public hearing about sewer and water, but before that, we have some time for public comment for anybody that signed up. Other than sewer and water. Yes, ma'am. Well, go up to the mic and state your name. You got 3 minutes. As long as it's, yeah. Not about sewer or water, but some other topic.
Nope.
Oh, that's a minute.
We'll get you though.
Yeah. It's coming. I've done it. This is what my, this is my 10th city council. Man, we finally got somebody here. This is pretty awesome. Like before it was like crickets and nobody was here. All right, so if we don't have any public comment, I guess we'll turn our time over to John for a minute for talking about fees and schedules and adjustments of water and sewers, and he'll be backed up by Jeff.
All fun stuff, yeah, so Jeff, Brian, Katie, if I miss something, just jump right in and help me out here, so. Annually, we do a budget, we have to do a balanced budget, that's nothing new, and every year we review our rates, make sure that they're covering the cost of the funds, and so we're looking at water and sewer rates this time. And part of that is internally, we do a little analysis to make a determination where we feel like the water rate should be at. This time, we decided that we would get a third-party contractor involved in that and have them do the study for us. So we went with RCAC, which is Rural Community Assistance Corporation. So they do rate studies for small rural cities. They're funded by grants, so Ephraim City didn't even need to pay for this. At least they got their funding from federal government, and then they go around and help smaller cities. So that was nice. Part of that gives us a independent review. So, you know, we provide them with our rate structure, financial statements, billing history on customers, and they do an analysis and review all of our infrastructure needs, the current rates and all that, and then they make the determination, which they've already come and presented on this at a prior city council meeting. So the rate studies are out there, they're on the website. If anyone would want to go and review those are available to the public, so those are out there. See if you want to go to the next slide if you're. Yeah, so this. And then part of the rate study is we're really looking at the long-term financial sustainability of the water and sewer systems and looking at the plan for maintenance and replacement of existing infrastructure. So most of this is not for any new growth or new systems or anything added to the current systems. This is for existing infrastructure. We've got a lot of aging pipes and sewer lines and a lot of maintenance type things that we need to start looking at. Let's go to the next slide. So the current health of the utility funds right now, as it is, both water and sewer fund are healthy. We have reserve funds to cover debt payments, emergencies, regular operations if needed. So they're not running on the red or anything. They're healthy. We have the funds there for the things that we need. Part of that is our balanced budget that we do every year. So as you know, we have to have a balanced budget. Revenues equal expenses. We can't go over. And we have been maintaining that for as long as I have records up that I could have looked at. So that's been long-term there. So like you see there, the third point, the issue is long-term sustainability under current rates. Part of being able to have the balanced budget is sometimes we are putting off projects. So we have enough revenue from these funds to take care of the current needs, but we're not addressing some of the long-term replacements, upgrades that need to happen to the system. So that's really what we're looking at, like I mentioned earlier, and then our CAC evaluated the future cost, inflation, and the infrastructure needs in their study. And you can read through that if you'd like. So, next slide. Oh, you okay. So why are rates being considered right now? I talked about that a little bit. You know, city's not immune from everything else that everyone's seeing individually or with their businesses or anything, rising costs. I mean, just looking at the cost of gas in the last week, like it's everywhere, right? And we're not immune from that, so it hits us too. Our supplies and materials that we need to use to maintain the system, those are increasing. We've got the aging infrastructure that needs to be worked on, inflation, and with all that, we still need to maintain our reserve balances so we don't start dipping into the reserves and have that declining balance, which we don't want to do that. So long-term stability there. And so this is primarily about maintaining the existing infrastructure. So what happens if we keep the rates the same? The next slide. So our CAC has shown projections that we can start on the shortfall, and their study, like I said, takes into account the needs of the city that have to happen. So if we keep going the way we have been, it would stay positive. We just wouldn't have any rehabilitation or maintenance done on the system the way that it needs to be. So their study showed if we were to maintain it and put the money into the system that we needed to, that cash balance would start declining. And they estimated that the sewer fund reserves could be exhausted around 2031, and the water fund reserves would decline additionally along with that. So, and part of that is delaying infrastructure work long term. It makes it more expensive because now you're looking at possibly replacing the whole system rather than just maintaining it. So that's what they were looking at. If we go to the next slide. So what did the rate show? So the sewer rate study recommended that we go from our current sewer rate of $33 a month to $38.25, and then increasing a little bit each year until 2031. So that's a phased multi-year adjustment. And again, the goal is to maintain the reserves and the long-term sustainability of the system. And the next slide shows, so this is just a screenshot from their study. So you can see fiscal year 2027, the 38.25, and then each year increasing slightly up to the 46.25, 31. And the water rate study recommendation. So they recommended on this one a one-time increase to the base rate. So we have a tiered structure, so there's a base rate, and then above it goes up to 7,000 gallons. And then above the 7,000 gallons, it's a tiered structure with a rate for each of those tiers. So we're just looking at the base rate and increasing that from $30 to $47 was their recommendation for inside city limits. And then going from $45 to $70.50 for outside city limits. And that's 1.5 times the inside city limit rate, which is what has been set in our previous fee schedules. So again, this stabilizes the water fund and maintains the reserves while providing additional funding to maintain the system. Okay, so when we look at And this is coming from the rate study and from federal guidance. So they look at affordability being between 2 and 5% of the median household income. When they ran the numbers on our system, even with the proposed rate increases, the sewer affordability index, it's under 1%. It's actually in 2026, if you went back to the previous slide, it would be 0.65%. And then the water affordability index is at 1.31. So the 2 to 5% is combined with those two. So if we combine them, the 2027 rate would be 1.96%, and then going up through 2031, it would be 2.10%. So we're on the lower end of the affordability scale there, the 2 to 5%. So based off of those criteria, it would suggest that the increased rates would still be within affordability rates based off of the federal guidelines. All right, Katie, you want to do this one?
Right, and as we talked last week about our water and sewer assistance program that we are going to be talking about during our action agenda later this meeting. So the water and sewer assistance program will offset the increases for qualified Ephraim residents. So all that we've been talking about, the increases, it will be managed with the assistance program for those who truly qualify for that. So we have taken that into consideration.
So we had the external third-party study, they recommended some rate increases. Katie just talked about, how to make that affordable for those who are truly in need, if they qualify for that. We wanted to see where this landed with other communities. How does this stack up? So we ran some numbers. We're only proposing to change our existing base rate. So this is where we're at right here. Currently our base rate is $13 a month. The proposed would take it to $47 a month. We're not right now proposing that, the study didn't recommend any changes to the tiered levels, just simply the base rate. So it takes it up $17 a month, and just how that compares with other cities. So what you have here is the other cities in the county. The dashed line is where we're at existing. The solid blue line is where we would be after the rate increase if it were passed. So gives you an idea of that. The average currently is about $49.84 between these cities. We would still be beneath the average, so we're not the highest, we're not the lowest. We'd kind of be in that range if this rate increase as proposed were passed. So one comment about these empty squares, the people pay culinary water, potable water fees, but they also have a irrigation charge that they pay on top of that every month. So with the irrigation charge, they would be paying a higher amount for some of those. So you can see kind of how that lands in there. We just wanted to we don't really want to be the highest or the lowest if we can help it. This recommendation seems to kind of slide in that window.
So we just put a kind of a list together on some of the major infrastructure needs with it we have not been able to do because of lack of funding now. This is a lot, it seems like a lot, and it's not something that it can be done in chunks. So we have approximately 5 miles of AC asbestos cement pipe still in service. That needs to be replaced eventually. It's probably been in since the 60s. We don't really have a lot of problems with it, but it is extremely hard to find parts for. Nobody makes anything for it anymore. We do have stuff on hand to fix problems when needed on that pipe, but the one that comes to the forefront in my mind is the cast iron pipe that's on 400 East that we have to dig up about every 20 feet every year and fix the joints. We have about 5,000 feet of that, so that would probably be the next priority. We also have need to rehab our 1 million gallon cement tank. We're looking into doing a new water tank. We need to finish about 8,400 feet of the penstock line. We have about 7,000 feet is being replaced on this project we're currently in the middle of. We need to replace that, and the list goes on and on and on. I don't know how long you want me to stand here and list off things that need to be replaced, but the water system as a whole is in good shape. We do the best we can with what we have. But there are needs that we have not been able to meet. We've been able to do all these projects mainly through grant money. So grant money's now getting more competitive and drying out. So some of these projects just won't be able to happen unless we can fund them ourselves. So sewer side, kind of the same thing. We're working on rehabbing and replacing sewer line. We've got a project hopefully coming up in August to do some more of that. We need to start funding for a new sewer cleaner vac truck, which is between 350 and 500,000. So that's a big chunk. There's lots of need and not enough money to go around, but any questions on that for me?
Apparently not.
Okay, thanks.
So Jeff mentioned it a little bit. We've been able to get a lot of grants. The work that we're doing right now at the Canyon, it's a $3 million project. We got basically 100% grant for that. We've got another project that we're just about to get going up at the top of the canyon. We've got about more than a 75, approaching 90% grant for that. We've been very fortunate as a city to be able to acquire some grants, and that's how we've been able to function so far. We've been able to tackle pretty big projects by getting some grant funding. We are finding that the pots of money are starting to dry up a little bit. It's getting more competitive, as was mentioned. One of the challenges that we have is as we apply for funding from the state of Utah, for example, they have pots of money. Before they give us any funding, they want to make sure that we're viable as a system. They don't want to give us money just to have it turn around and fall into disrepair again. So every time we go and apply for this, they ask us and they require copies of all our finances just to make sure that we're charging enough. Every single time that we do it, they tell us, you're not charging enough. You need to go charge some more. We want to stay competitive for grants. We want to do as much with grants as we possibly can, but we need to be able to stay competitive for that. In that realm, and just as a rule of thumb, we want to be able to be self-sufficient as much as we can. We're trying to save as much cost as we can by going after grants and things, but we do want to try and be as self-sufficient as we can with that. So
when they say we're not charging enough, is it that federal 2 to 5% of our income that they're looking at that we're below that?
yeah, the state has a little different number than the feds do, but basically it's based off of a medium adjusted gross income. You're supposed to be a certain percentage of that, and we're lower than what they want us to be. In the past, we've been able to defer some costs. We've been able to juggle some of that around, but in the end, there's still a need, right? Like the need doesn't go away just because we were able to defer some costs for a little bit.
All right, so purpose of all this is to establish sustainable base utility rates to take care of the system. And one thing that we kind of talked about a little bit that we didn't talk about with the rate study people or with the city council meeting yet is potentially tying this to CPI, so then the inflation rate, so that we're not always coming back and trying to do these large increases. If we can just kind of keep up with it, get it where it needs to be, and then just do small increases to keep up with inflation. That should hopefully avoid any large periodic rate increases and keep the system funded. And then we propose doing another comprehensive rate study in 5 years. Just to make sure that we're where we're at or where we need to be at and everything's getting taken care of and we're making progress the way that we should be.
One of the other questions that comes up is what kind of services are we paying for in our lives? We're paying lots of money for lots of services. This is just, these are based off of recent numbers off of the website. If you're looking for cable or internet or a phone plan, you're paying quite a bit of money for those services. With the water rate increase that's proposed, comes out, you see the difference there, quite a bit less than the other services. If you assume 20,000 gallons a month, this would be your bill, under the new rate increases. That's roughly 3 gallons per penny. You think about everything that we buy, you know, a 32 ounce soda is a lot more than a penny or a half a penny. Gallon of gas, gallon of milk, any of that stuff. Really, we have a great resource. We have good water. You know, it's some of the best water in the state, in my opinion. If you travel around and drink some of the other water, it's a really good resource. And honestly, you know, compared to some of the other things we buy, we feel like it's a pretty reasonable price for a really important resource there.
In our summary here, as we said, these water and sewer funds, they're healthy, they have reserves. But our system is aging. We need to start looking at some of the operation and replacement costs. Our operation and replacement costs continue increasing, and then just proactively trying to get on top of some of these aging systems that could potentially cause problems. And we don't want water line breaks or sewer lines to be collapsed and have that backed up and some of the things that might come with that. So we want to keep the rates affordable. We understand what everyone's going through. We're in the same boat, right? So we don't want to overcharge, but we also need to make sure that we're taking care of our system. So that's what I have with Jeff.
I'll just say one more quick thing, real quick on some of the current pricing, and I won't go on too long, but the water line I was talking about on 400 East replacing, the price for PVC, 12-inch PVC, just the pipe alone for that 5,000 feet would be $182,000. That's just for the pipe. That's nothing else. Each one of the 12-inch gate valves is $3,600 a piece. Now it is about $10,000 to install a fire hydrant. Things are just astronomical. So that's where we are currently. And stuff kind of ebbs and flows a little bit, but it just goes up and comes down a little bit. It never comes back all the way. So we're feeling it on that end. So.
Yeah, I filled up my gas tank today. It was $110.
13 gallons.
And it was a little more than 13. We went to California at spring break and they only let you do $100 at a time. So I can fill half my tank up, then they go fill it up again another time. Yeah, it's kind of miserable. All right, excellent. So after those presentations, we're going to turn some time over for people that would like to make comments about our increase to the water and sewer. This is my first time, so we went and looked up some rules. Anyway, so kind of the way we're going to run it tonight is each of you that would like to speak, you'll have up to 3 minutes. Unfortunately, it's not like a question answer kind of thing, so it's more like you got to talk for 3 minutes. You don't have to take all that time, take shorter than that time, but at 3 minutes, we'll turn it over to somebody else. Other than that, we're not gonna have time to respond to comments or anything like that, so 3 minutes and then turn it over to somebody else. That make sense? Doesn't make sense to me. But...
They need to state their name.
Oh, yeah. And you get up and state your name for the record.
Speak to the mic.
And into the mic? What? Speaking to the mic. Okay, so Leilani, you jumped up first. Do you want to go first?
Hi. I'm Leilani Nielsen. I've lived here most of the time since about 93 in my family for many generations. And this has always been home, even when I didn't live here, this was home. I come to speak on behalf of the people of Reedham who are on fixed incomes or low income or low medium income. I see that you are addressing that problem, that concern, but our county is one of the top third of the poorest counties in Utah. And so there are a lot of people that would be affected by the increase in rates. And people move to Ephraim for the small town life. But it seems we have been in a hurry to make Ephraim grow quickly, which increases the need for infrastructure. And, you know, there's been concerns with the Ephraim crossing at the south end of town, which of course makes the need for more water, more sewer. And I've been concerned with things I've been hearing about that the developers from Vegas are involved in a lawsuit and therefore in Colorado, and therefore we don't have the grant money yet. Concerned about how we're going to pay for the work that's already been done. And I was very confused when I saw that we hired consultants from California who can't even manage their water situation there to put the fires out. We should hire Utah consultants, people who know Utah, people who know the life in Utah, the small towns in Utah. And please consider hiring people from Utah in the future, not California. And also, we have a lot of local developers. Offer them the deals with the grants instead of those from out of state. We have local, we have others in Utah. They care about Utah, the people coming from out of state. They come, they make their money, they leave. And I'm going to encourage you to use local developers in the future for our own best interest, for our citizens. Also, this summer, you know, sounds like we're doing pretty good, but if we have water restrictions, please allow us to have our gardens. A lot of us grow food and our medicines in our yards. And there's a lot of us who would appreciate it if you take that in consideration if we're restricted on our water. And again, I'm going to say, slow down in making our city grow. We're a small town. We're a wonderful town, beautiful town. And yes, there's a lot of people that want to live here. And that's great. We grow too fast. It can be bad for us.
Thanks.
So
We appreciate it.
thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody? Come on.
My name is David Lambert, and I've lived here for several years now, but one thing I would like to see before this goes up any further is you're talking about rate increases in up to $47. That's over $300 a year for people. I want to know where that money goes, how it is spent. I want it broken down. I'd like to see the total money that we got, how much money we're getting on interest and everything. You're throwing out a bunch of percentages, but let's get down to the basic tax and the figures so we can see as individuals what you're doing with that money and how you're doing it. I don't mind a little increase, but when you start charging people on a fixed income over $300 a month just for water, and then you're gonna go up with the sewer and everything, where's that money coming from them? You know, a lot of people work and maybe they get cost of living increases and stuff or raises, but some of us don't. So I think it'd be to get the financial figures so that we can all look at the bottom line and what you're doing with the money and how it is being spent and how much is going into savings and what it looks like each year. And that's, so, thank you.
Thank you. The last 5 minutes of passing testimony meeting. All right, I guess we'll close the public hearing portion of that, water and sewer rated utility rates. Presentations. Our first present,
Pause,
you have a pause?
pause.
You want to say something?
Need a motion?
Actually, we need a motion on the ordinance 26-08.
And also motion to close the public. hearing.
Yes.
Do we have the motion? Do we have a motion to close it?
You don't need a motion to open.
So what motion do we have to have on 26-08?
That, so basically what that is, that's changing the fee schedule if you guys choose to put these rates in. It's changing the fee schedule to bill that way.
So this is like an action agenda item.
It is. But
Correct.
But we're grouping it with the subject.
Got it.
I'll make a motion that we close the public meeting,
Second.
public hearing.
public hearing, like I said.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Norfolk, a second by Member Anthony, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so now do we have to do a motion on the other?
Is it the fee schedule, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I would just like to call your attention to page 10 on this fee schedule. There's a mistake there on subdivision. Under subdivision, it lists the county fee for recording a subdivision. The fee to apply for a subdivision for Ephraim City, that will be $300, not the $50 a sheet plus $2 a lot. That will be the fee that is paid at the county. So the application for a subdivision will be $300.
So if you make the motion, if you would include with the amendment of on the subdivision fee.
And that was my fault, not Candace's, so don't blame Candace.
So something we need to do, or something we should do, or something we can do,
Can you?
or we can put it off and do it another time.
It just, we'd like to pass the fee schedule around the same time as the budget. So
But it's the 1st of July,
you
1st of June, really?
Yeah.
Do we?
We should do it there.
All right, well. I guess, we need to do it by the 1st of June. So I guess we're looking for a motion to pass the fee schedule as presented with the $300, $200 increase, $150 increase.
John mentioned a possibility of, can we put this? Can we add to it a yearly consideration of inflation?
Yes, that is how it is written right now.
Okay.
So if you do not want that, you can make a motion to strip that out. But it is, as it is written right now, that is how it's included.
For the next 5 years only, or for perpetual?
It is, it's perpetual. It's perpetual. And
Cost of living increase to the sewer and water rate.
yes, for those, it's just,
Based on inflation.
it's just on water, not on sewer. Okay, and anytime you want to pull it back and re-look at that, you absolutely can.
So it sounds like there's still a number of questions about this thing.
If you would like to pick it up again at the next council meeting, we can do that.
With a number of, a couple of amendments and some people that are not, some of us that are not totally aware of how things are written.
Well, I realized it was through the next 5 years, through till 2031. I didn't realize that it was beyond that as well, or that we would have to come back in 5 years.
John is proposing that we look at this every 5 years, just as a matter of good fiscal management. We would bring it back every 5 years. But,
I think it ought to be looked at more than that.
okay,
But the clause is in perpetuity, the clause.
that is correct. It just doesn't have an end date. Okay. So it feels like people would like to think about this some more. Or are you ready?
I'm ready.
I didn't realize that we were looking at tonight. That's looking at all of the fee schedules. not just-
I'd like to review this bundle of fees into it and have a conversation. The water and the sewer, I don't have any problem with these other adjustments.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. We will bring it back to you on action agenda next council meeting. Okay?
Okay, that sounds better to me.
A motion to postpone to June 3rd.
All right, so then we're looking for a motion instead of passing or not passing, we're just looking for a motion to move it to our next council meeting.
Then motion to postpone this until next council meeting on June 3rd. Sure, we call this entire thing, ECO 26-08.
I second it. Anthony first it and also Glass seconded it. All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Nobody's opposed. All right, any other, one more thing? All right, presentations, we get to meet the new Miss Ephraim and her attendants. You're gonna come introduce yourself and show off the sparkle and boy.
I'm Natalie Douglas, the new Miss Ephraim, and these are my attendants.
I'm Sierra Curtis. I am the first attendant.
And I'm Lexi Ogden, I'm second attendant, and Mayor, we have a little surprise.
The last year told that you wanted a crown, so.
Yes.
So you figured it's just gonna fit you better, you know, so.
You have a small head, don't you? I'm what my wife says. All right, yeah, no, that's very nice. Although I didn't get a definition of tiara versus crown, so it's. Well, congratulations. Is there any sibling rivalry now that we have two queens in the house?
I don't think so.
Which one's better? Current one?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, very nice.
We'd like to talk about the floats and the parades, and Sierra will hand you guys papers. So, one of the prime opportunities the Miss Ephraim royalty represents the city is during parades. We are scheduled to attend 13 parades, 10 over the summer months, and 3 at-night parades. Last year, RJ Tires and Automotive donated tires to keep the floats operating, and there was a slow leak in one of the tires. In addition, the trailer hitch no longer locked, creating safety issues not only during parades, but also during transportation. Some of the teachers at Manta High School donated time and resources to rebuild the hitch and install the tires. Unfortunately, with the way the float was originally constructed, it was impossible to remove the tires without taking apart the sides of the float. At this time, the boards on the float are broken and in need of replacement. And if the city still has funds available for donations, we would like to ask if some of the money can be donated to the Miss Ephraim float. If you look down at some of the pictures, you can see that the boards are coming up and there's cracks, and on one of the handles, on a few of the handles, it's hard to like hold on because they're broken. So we would like to ask if we can get more funds for our float.
Who's gonna be driving the float?
Like that.
Then you shouldn't need handles.
It's for, the handles are for us and for our safety.
That was dentistry's proving that. Fine. Yeah, well, when Marilee was the Miss Pageant director, Chris Larson was the one that fixed everything, so. All right. So we'll like to, we want to donate, we'll have to come up with some funds to help you out, is that what you're saying? All right, maybe we'll take it under advisement.
Here, I'll make this easy. I'll donate it from my business for you guys.
Lots of glass, it'll be glass and closed, it'll be like a podium deal.
Yeah, there's some glass tiles on here I saw. Maybe we can work something out.
Thank you so much, and we're grateful to be here.
All right, thank you guys, congratulations. Next, we have the CC Christensen artwork. And we have Julie or Carl or somebody that's gonna present. Carl's presenting.
We're all three.
With support.
We're glad to be here and appreciate your time. These are my lovely sisters, Diane and Julie. Carl Christian Anton Christensen, better known as CCA, is our great-great-grandfather through our mother, Euna Christensen. He was born in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1831. He's well known as a pioneer artist of events that happened in the early days of the LDS Church. His most famous work is known as the Mormon Panorama, some of which is still in existence and is kept at the BYU Art Department. He also painted murals in the Logan, Manti, and St. George temples. The only one where the murals are still exist is in the Creation Room in the Manti Temple. We as a family felt that whereas he was a prominent citizen of Ephraim, there should be some of his work displayed in the city. So we are here tonight to present a copy of one of his paintings to Ephraim City to be displayed in the Ephraim City building. The painting we chose is entitled Harvest Time in Ephraim. Some of his own children are featured in this painting, and the old Ephraim Tabernacle can be seen in the background. His cabin that was originally located at his farm in what is called Manasseh, you probably heard of that, and was moved many, many years ago to a spot south of the co-op. And then it was moved again earlier this year to Pioneer Park. We want to express our thanks and appreciation to those who have helped with this preservation of the cabin. Ephraim City, whose employees helped raise the power lines, and the police who stopped traffic, and those who got this site ready at Pioneer Park. Craig Oberg and CO Buildings, who actually moved the cabin to the Pioneer Park. Sarah Thomas, Museum Director of the DUP, John Thomas, Val Hill, and LDS Church Service Missionaries, who have made the cabin a beautiful place to display some of CCA artwork and the work of those early local artists. We'd like to present this painting now, and I hope that lots of people get to enjoy it.
You're going down there.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
They've done a really good job with the cabin.
I was down there the other day and
I know, but it's really, that was just really nice, yeah.
Have you stand over here?
You want us?
Yes, absolutely. So let's have council and family here. Sure. Okay, very good. All right. You balanced? They're balanced, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much.
On the wall. Well, we don't hang it. That's great. Okay, go ahead.
We're gonna put this up with.
Sure, well, oh, yeah.
Just don't let anybody.
Great. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Greg. And this goes an example of some fine sandpeter. Okay, we have one more presentation by John Newton, City's Fraud Risk Assessment.
Okay, we're coming up to the year end, June 30th, and part of that is getting ready for financial audit and reports to the state. One of those is the fraud risk assessment that you have in front of you. So this goes through basic separation of duties, some of the policies that we have. A lot of these are in the employee handbook, and we have a third-party CPA that helps us with things, so that helps check off some of the boxes here. Overall, we're at a 345 out of 395, which puts us in the low category. So it's just for you to review and to have, and if you have any questions on it, we can go through it now or any other time.
So just as a quick overview, what is this? What kind of things does this cover?
So a lot of it's financial, obviously, because it's for a financial audit. So like who has access to bank accounts, or who reconciles the bank accounts, who can transfer money, who has access to utility accounts, and what can they do with those? So just making sure that not one person can make entries into the general system and take the deposits and reconcile all that. So separation of duties is a real big part of it. So make sure we have multiple checks and balances in there and not one person's doing multiple things. That's a big part of it. And then some of it's there. I mean, you can see like conflict of interest. We have a policy on that. That's in our employee handbook, and a procurement policy, and some of those things that you see there. So
does it matter that there's not accessing some of these boxes, because I know we're doing them? Like IT, when James came, and I know those things are being done, but.
yeah, so we don't have it checked because we don't have formal written policies yet.
We're doing it, we don't have a policy.
We are doing it. We don't have a formal policy. We will be working on that one specifically
Yes.
next year.
So we have been talking with James about many things that we need to have in place, but they're not written yet, and you haven't passed them yet. But they will be by this time next year.
Who performs this risk assessment? I see your signature and Katie's signature on that. Is that, do we do this internally, or is this something that the state auditor's office
It's done
participates in?
now. So our third party CPA, myself, treasurer, and Katie, we've all looked at it.
So there is somebody, a third party that is involved in
Yeah,
CPA.
I mean, he's not on site and he doesn't know all of our policies, but he is involved with it. Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Jonathan. On the consent items, ratification of the warrant register and the approval of the minutes from last city council meeting. Looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the consent items.
Second,
It's meant to be all, it's over Nordfeld, all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? All right, action agenda. Number one, Jeff, now it's Katie. Consideration and adoption of an ordinance amending Eastern City Code regarding the frequency of required fire inspections.
That's right. So playing the part of Jeff Hermanson, it's Katie Witt. Because he had another commitment he forgot about tonight, so here we are. This is the third time that we've brought it before council. We didn't have any questions last time. I'm hoping you don't have any questions this time. But I'm willing to, happy to not answer questions. Any specific questions you have on this?
This is the code that involves the interface, or this is just inspection?
So this is inspections, the schedule.
reducing the number, well, reducing the inspection requirement for
Duplexes and houses, yeah.
Single family houses.
Yeah.
by
So, yeah. So unless anybody else has come up with some sort of questions or problems with that.
Well, I don't like the verbiage on, just.
We're still looking for a motion.
I would move that we approve Ephraim City Ordinance 26-04.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Number B, consideration and possible approval of a contingent conditional use permit application submitted by Antonio Jimenez for construction of a duplex.
You're sure.
So Antonio Jimenez is requesting a conditional use permit for a duplex on a vacant piece of property that he owns at approximately 150 South, 200 West. All multifamily developments are conditional use permit in Ephraim City. So some of those, oh, sorry. The conditions that we have in place for multifamily developments is that the applicant must provide a 6-foot site obscuring fence around the sides and rear of the property. The minimum requirement is chain link with slats. Applicants must provide 2 parking spaces per unit. All areas designated for parking must be paved. The meter or separate meters are required for each unit. 20% of the land of the lot shall be maintained for landscaping or open green space. We appreciate water-wise landscaping. Any lighting must be provided for safety, but all outdoor lighting must be dark sky compliant, warm color, and downward facing. Condition that the applicant will work with city staff to ensure development meets Ephraim City codes and standards, and that the applicant needs to apply for zoning and building permits separate from this approval where impact fees will be assessed. Staff has no issues with this application and recommends approval. The applicant is here if you would like to ask him any questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Just one duplex, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with 1 duplex. 2, I'm not.
With the duplex, isn't that 2?
Now, there's been a number of them between 2 duplexes.
There's only 1 duplex allowed per lot, so if you see them in other, there's 2 lots.
2 lots, okay. Okay, that's a reassuring thing, so I'm good.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the conditional use permit submitted by Antonio Jimenez for the duplex at 150 South, 200 West, with the conditions of approval listed by staff.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Yes.
Sure you don't want to say anything, Anton?
No, just thank you, and that was it. Then I'm gonna get back to work.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Number C, back to you, Megan.
Okay, this is a code that we have been working on with the planning commission to kind of address some density issues in the city and providing amenities and green space for multifamily developments. So currently our code states that any development, the property must have at least 20% of open space for landscaping. Green space, they can, like I said, we encourage water-wise landscaping and things like that, but essentially when you have a home or things like that, we don't require the landscaping on single-family homes for occupancy. But for developments and such, we require that it looks nice. It can't be dirt and weeds for the tenants that they are moving in there. So added to that code, what we would like to propose is that that this applies to all zones that permit multifamily residential units, including commercial zones that allow residential uses. So for developments of 10 or more units, any multifamily development with 10 or more units shall provide additional amenities equal to 10% of the development area, in addition to the standard 20%. A list of acceptable amenities will be provided by staff, and amenities location must be on usable space and approved by staff. Developments fewer than 10 units, they can do the 20%, but they do need to provide some sort of amenities for the tenants. So what we're looking at as far as if you have more than 10 units, we're looking at things like people are starting to propose things like pickleball courts, a small playground for the children that live in those developments, a dog park for if they're gonna allow dogs in the apartments, pavilions where the tenants can gather with picnic tables, potentially fire pits, things like that. So those are the list of acceptable amenities. Basically what we're looking at is when developers come in and have a big multifamily thing, that they're providing something that's not also straining what the city has already provided by way of parks and things like that, but there's something for the tenants living in those developments. So planning commission, we went over this many times. They unanimously recommended this. They did ask for some changes. The usable space was added because there was some concern that they would just put a bench like in the middle of somewhere that doesn't really help with the gathering or anything like that. And like, if you're gonna have benches, maybe provide also some shade, so, or like a covering so that the benches aren't hot, or, you know, just different things like that. So that's the recommendation from staff and the planning commission. Have any questions?
So when I read this earlier yesterday, so what, an additional 10% is added to the landscaping, so it doesn't have to be landscaping, it just has to be something.
So
Why not put 30%? I mean, does that make sense?
right, so because 20% is already required, and then we wanted to specify that you have an additional 10% more. I guess we could essentially put 30%. Yes, you're
I
right.
was confused as to why that was written the way it was, but nothing special. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I can't approve it with that kind of language.
Essentially, what we're wanting is that a lot of times we see they want to maximize the density and fit as much as possible. So what we're trying to do is alleviate some of that by creating more amenities for the tenants that actually live there.
Yeah, the only question I had is why it was written with that extra 10% instead of 30%. I thought I was missing something, but.
Well, and it's because if you look at anything else, it's a 20% requirement. And so a lot of people are used to that 20%. So, but.
Just wondering if it meant that it didn't have to be landscaping, it could be something else, but it doesn't make sense there. So that was my question. All right, does anybody have any questions, concerns?
It seems fairly boilerplate on a lot of it. I mean, I know the animals thing, we've seen that before, the 20 rabbits or chickens or 4 cats, and it seems like we've seen
All that stuff still
Yeah,
applies.
all standard.
Yep, that, none of that's changing. This is just an addition.
Right, add a quick clarification on that. So in your packet, she included the entire residential code. This in green, the underline is the only thing that's changing from that. So everything else is not changing, it's already existing. This underlined section is the only part that's changing. I just wanted to show it in context of how it fit in the code, so that's why it's all.
Well, and Municode doesn't let us separate it. So just the whole ordinance prints out for it to be signed.
All right, so if anybody has any, no more problems, guess I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve ECO 26-6.
Lauren and Jack, in favor?
Yes.
Anonymous. Number D, I guess is you again.
It is. Okay, this has also been project for the last little while. Currently Ephraim City does not have a short-term rental code, so it's been something that we're looking at. So what we want to make sure is that if you're doing some type of short-term rental, that short-term rentals are classified as less than 30 days. And that's like your Airbnb, VRBO, things like that. So what we want is local management, or if we're getting complaints, if the property isn't upkept, things like that. We want to make sure that it's not someone from California that bought a house and is just Airbnb-ing it, and we can never get a hold of them. So local management, property management is a requirement. Owner occupied licensing requirement, so no subletting. So what, you can't rent an apartment and then rent it out as an Airbnb. The license must be obtained by the owner of the property. We see that a lot in apartment complexes where they're renting the unit, but they're actually Airbnb-ing it and they're not actually living there. We want to put a cap on it that developments with 10 units or fewer in any development consisting of 10 or fewer units, no more than one unit may be used as a short-term rental. So that's like in your subdivisions, your townhomes, things like that. We don't want businesses to come in and buy them or developers to come in and buy them. And then we want people to be able to live in those and not just be a side business or a short-term rental in these complexes. And we want to protect the nature of residential areas and place where people are living, that they know their neighbors, they can, they're coming home to the same people every night, and they don't unknowingly move into a development where the 9 other people that live next to them are all Airbnb rentals. Anything more than 10 units. So this is like your apartment complex, a subdivision, no more than 10% of the units may be licensed as a short-term rental at any given time. Once the maximum number of short-term rental licenses has been issued within the development, no additional licenses will be granted. They can reapply only if an existing license ceases operation. And then that,
Lay that out for me a little bit with the subdivision.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit more about that. I mean, in a geographical area, right? Well, I mean, when somebody comes in and says, I want to build a subdivision with 30 homes into it. Okay, so what happens when the developer's long gone in this subdivision? We can only still have 3 in that.
Yeah.
When we call it Joe's subdivision.
Yeah, so anytime the subdivision comes in, it's named on a plat and it's held at the county, and we have to approve those subdivisions. So some that you might be familiar with, Country Dream Estates, that's up in up the canyon. Van Gordon is the developer there.
Right.
Okay, so if he has 30 homes in that subdivision that he's doing, only 10% of those homes can be bought and then used as an Airbnb.
Okay.
Does that mean?
Yeah,
sense?
no, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Again, just with the goal in mind to protect residential neighborhoods,
Right,
that you're not moving into a bunch of,
okay.
and then that you have to have a business license and a fire inspection. And that you do have to obtain a sales tax number so that the city can collect that transient room tax. I was just at the APA conference in Bryce Canyon, a couple months ago. I was able to obtain free software from the state that shows us every Airbnb in Ephraim and whether they are licensed or not.
Tell us that number.
There are 30
It's amazing.
that are not licensed. We have about 5 that have business licenses. So
Got 30 of it across the street.
with the software, we are able to see where it's being listed, which websites it's being listed on, and the last time that it was utilized and the reviews on it. So we can kind of see, well, you know, the type of,
Are we notifying them?
we will be notified, once this is passed, we'll be notifying each one that we do have a code that you do have to have a business license. We also putting in there that we reserve the right to halt rentals until you are compliant with Ephraim City Code. So all of those 30 Airbnbs will be getting a notice in the mail that we just need them to come in, get a business license, things like that, and making sure we want that fire inspection so that just like a hotel would be, you gotta provide safety for the tenants that are staying there.
So what about the 5? Are they grandfathered in before this if somebody lives out of state?
So what we would probably end up doing is we are going to make them, they have to renew every year. They're already getting they're already doing a lot of this as far as fire inspections, but we will be requiring the sales tax for a transient room.
Right.
Yes.
I'm
And
just
that's
saying,
what-
yeah.
That's why we put the clause that we reserve the right to halt rentals if they're non-compliant, because the goal is to make everyone compliant. You're not just gonna be grandfathered in this aspect, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but the 5 are playing the game right now correctly,
Yeah.
right? And before, if they are out of state, right?
The ones that we have are not.
Okay, then that clarifies it
Yeah.
for me. That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. There's some grandfathering in here that could come into play
Right.
until the property changes hands or
Right.
license.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of them are local and that
Okay.
those that have already done the process have already had their fire inspections and they complied with the code that we have. So, but we will be requiring them to make sure they get that transient room.
No, and I think this is good before it gets,
Right.
even bigger onto it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even with this code, you can live out of state as long as you have a local.
Right,
Manager.
right,
Right.
yes, I guess that's what I'm saying. Somebody has to manage it locally,
Yes.
even if you're the owner, yes, I understand.
Any other questions for me on that?
Just one quick comment on this. We don't necessarily want to chase them all away.
No, yeah.
So we tried to come up with a way that they would still allow, would just not be overbearing for the whole city. Other cities struggle with this more than Ephraim does. I would say Ephraim is not a huge destination for Airbnbs like Kanab and St. George and some of those places. They have thousands of Airbnbs. We're not interested in chasing them away entirely, but we just want to kind of get it managed without it growing too big. Number one, and number two is we don't want people coming in, businesses coming in and buying up a bunch of our affordable housing that we're working hard to come up with. And then just Airbnb, and then that doesn't do us any good. We want to be able to have our local residents here, enjoying the benefit of the affordable housing without corporations or businesses coming in and just buying up all the housing stock and eliminating that option for our residents. So that's where this kind of came from. We have looked at it quite a bit with the planning commission. We spent quite a bit of time talking through some of the wording and things like that. So this is where we landed.
Under our current structure, is the city receiving any transient tax from those Airbnbs? So right now, nothing, but from our hotels, we are.
And from 5 feels fine.
Not even from the 5.
Right, for the 5?
Yeah.
Currently, not even.
Yeah, we're currently assessing any some tax For short-term rentals, we're not collecting any tax at all, licensed or not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what did we figure? Is it just a guess? Like 1,500 a month? Transient room tax?
Oh, I don't dare say,
Right now.
we can run the numbers up.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact. We are missing out on that if we don't impose the transient room tax.
It's not a huge thing, but every little bit helps.
Yeah, it's not huge,
Well, we
but,
gotta protect the hotel, you know, the other businesses who are playing the game.
right, you know, we gotta be fair to
Yeah,
everyone.
right.
Right, with that, if there's no more questions or comments, looking for a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we accept Ephraim City Ordinance 26-07 short-term rental ordinance.
Second. Jack and Anthony. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. John, right, last one, play you with. 26-09.
Right, boy, you're tall. All right, so this is what we were referring to earlier. We talked about it last council meeting. We made that adjustment as suggested by Councilmember Stick to make sure that this is Ephraim residents only. So we do provide water outside city limits, but they will not be eligible for the assistance program. So you have to be an Ephraim resident. This is for residential water and sewer utility accounts only. The account must have to serve the applicant's principal occupied dwelling, no second homes. Household must be currently enrolled in the HEAT program. That way we know that the state has already verified. We do not want to get in the business of looking at everybody's finances to qualify them. So that's what anybody who is on HEAT, they already have been qualified by the state as needing assistance.
Want to just explain heat real quick? Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. So this is a program that is run through R6, and those that qualify for are low income, they go, actually, I know somebody who did a lot of research on this. Councilmember Powell, do you want to explain what you found out when you were doing this research?
I will try. I left my research, my notes in the car,
Mhm.
but I called Dorothy Spence.
So you just speak in the mic, so people more online can hear you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I called Dorothy Spence at R6. She is the she administers the HEAT program for Sanpete County. As I spoke with her, she indicated, so the HEAT program, it provides a one-time payment. The money comes from federal government and state government. To qualify for the money, there's an algorithm that they put together. It takes into account the number of individuals living in the home, the income of the home, and the heat the heat source for the home. Part of the reason they look at the heat source is if the home is heated by propane, they qualify for an additional $150 a month for that program. Sorry, a year. Yeah, because it's a one-time, and it's a one-time payment that they make. So maximum that an individual could qualify for is, my memory serves me correctly, is $650. And that would include if you had someone, heating your home by propane, so it's $150. If you have someone in your home who's under 5 or over, I believe it was 65, you qualify for an additional $150 a year. So that $650 is inclusive of that money. So if they put the information into the algorithm and it puts out what the amount that you qualify for, you then work with R6 in determining what percentage of that money goes where. It can go to cover, because it's intended to cover your heating source. It can either cover electricity or natural gas or propane. But it goes, then they can split that up. And part of the reason that they might split that up is because Enbridge and Rocky Mountain Power if you are on the heat program and some, with Enbridge, I hope I say this right, with Enbridge, if some of the money goes to Enbridge, they give an additional $100 a year. With Rocky Mountain Power, if you qualify for heat, you can receive up to $13 a month, I believe is what, my recollection.
$1,300 a year. What did you say?
$13 a month.
Okay.
$13 a month. Enbridge does it on an annual basis, one time credit to your account, or partially because that is usually portable. So if you leave Ephraim, you can take it with you to your new Enbridge account in another city. Rocky Mountain Power, they do it on a monthly basis. Partially because when you leave, you may or may not end up at a Rocky Mountain Power home, who is supplied through that. They did tell me, they said kudos to our city. We are the only city in Sanpete County that can actually credit the heat payment directly to the electrical bill. All of the other cities, it just goes to the individual city bill. But we can actually apply that directly to the electricity, which R6 appreciates very much.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that research as well.
Yeah.
And I'll just add one thing, that to qualify, you have to be 150% of the federal poverty level.
Mhm.
You have to make less than that,
Mhm.
depending on the number of people in your household.
Thank you.
And the amount that you qualify becomes a sliding scale. Once you hit that 150, it becomes a sliding scale. The less you make, the further below that line you are, the more you can qualify for. Up to, I mean, maximum would be if you make $0 a year. Then you would receive that maximum, potentially receive the maximum benefit.
So our program is not exactly like that because we do not have manpower for that. And we are not doing a sliding scale. We are not doing a lump sum. What we are doing is applying a portion, $15 a month to water, $5 a month to sewer on their utility bill. But as you can see, somebody else has already really gone into a lot of detail and gotten and verified that this family, this household needs help. And if they say they need help, we are glad to help them as well. So this is not a payment to the individual. It goes directly to the bill. And so one of the things that council, we got direction from you was that we are really concerned about the individuals on fixed incomes here in our city. And the increases will not be passed on to them. So anything, they do have to apply, recertify annually. They might have a job change, so we will require them to come in on an annual basis to recertify, as it were.
My understanding, this, we would be crediting on a monthly basis, correct?
Correct.
Not
Monthly.
annual, it would be monthly.
That's correct.
For any type of requirement that they be not in arrears or?
No.
No. Okay.
No. We do, with people who are behind, we do have payment plans for folks to get caught up. So there's a mechanism already in place.
So just making sure I understand correctly. So if I qualified and I was receiving this from the city, whether or not I make a payment this month, I will get that $13 credit.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
$20.
Sorry, yes. Too many numbers.
15 and 5.
Yes, 15
Yeah.
and 5, so 20.
Yep. So any other questions?
Does that create any issues with collections where we are crediting them on that? It's just a thought question. It just kind of came to mind because I know if we're in arrears, we're gonna be doing we may end up on a collections level, but if we're continuing to credit an account,
John,
is
my
that,
finance director, do you have thoughts on this?
Does that just, my question and concern, does that put us in a bad place to be able to collect? If we are continually putting money into that account, does that appear to a collections agency as a payment? Does that put us in a bad place?
I don't think so, because we determine who's gonna be going to collection. That's not somebody else determining that, so as an Aubrey work on that, and they'll know who's getting these credits, and if they're not making payments and their balance is getting to a point where they need to go to a collection agency, we would know well beforehand what's going on there, and we probably have a discussion about, they haven't paid in 3 months, are we really gonna continue crediting their account this $20? So I don't think there'll be a lot of that. It's very possible there'll be some, but we could deal with those on a case by case basis and have a discussion on those particular accounts. But if we did continue crediting the account and it's still a balance that we would send to the collections, the worst thing would be that just that full amount wouldn't go to collections because we've credited it a little bit.
So is it gonna show up as a full bill with a credit, or is it just gonna be showed up as a bill that's not as much? Does that make sense?
For the collection amount?
For someone that qualifies for this program, say it's $47 or whatever, is their bill gonna be $47 and then they'll have a $20 credit? Or will it be $27, the bill?
So this is gonna show up as a payment on their account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I add to that really quickly? Sorry, I used to do utility billing, so we don't send any bills to collections that are not terminated. So they are dealt with far earlier. If it's a existing monthly billing account, we even have had to shut off people that are on heat because we have to wait till the heat runs out, because it sits as a credit and eventually it's used up. But Esmeralda stays really on top of this, and I don't see it as an issue if it comes to the point where the electricity has to be shut off, because even if there's water and sewer payments, the electricity will still be shut off and a payment will have to be made. And then at some point, the account would be
After that,
terminated.
it goes to
Termination.
terminated.
Yeah, so the account is eligible for collections. So you wouldn't see any changes on a terminated account.
We haven't talked about the cap.
Correct. So the intent is for the council every budget cycle to determine the cap. All right. So as we were talking about earlier, that the water rates might increase, right? So we might want to increase the amount of money that we set aside for the assistance. So we will be looking at that every year. John and I have looked at this, and we believe that the $10,000 for the water assistance and $3,300 should cover the sewer for the amount of people that we think are going to need it. We really have no idea yet who is going to come, but we feel that it's a pretty good guess. And if it is nowhere near enough, we'll come to you again and ask if we can appropriate some other monies. But if it is not all utilized, that's great. I'll just roll over.
So as written, it's 10,000 and 3,300.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would want you in the motion, I think there's, in the motion, it states how much you would be allocating. Any other questions?
If I might, going back to a comment that John made, going back to this discussion about potentially being able to terminate this if we wanted to as a city. I was just re-looking at the ordinance and I didn't notice any language that would allow us for our own reasons to be able to terminate an account's ability to participate in this. It looks like we've got under section F, it says that we've got no entitlement It's, so if participation in the program is not an entitlement, is subject to the budget cap, maximum accounts, and continued eligibility. But that eligibility is tied back to heat. And then do we want or need to put something in here that says that for whatever reason, if the city decides to terminate your participation in this program, we can?
Such as non-payment.
Such as non-payment or whatever else.
Seems like a good idea. And
Is that the appropriate place to put it in
Yes.
F1?
We can terminate the whole program,
Yes.
but not
Not the
individuals.
yeah, so how would you like to proceed? Would you like us to take it back to the city attorney and have that inserted? Or would you like to make a motion including that provision?
I would propose, I don't know if there's further discussion or questions, I would propose doing an interlineation on the record, subject to the approval of our city attorney for that language, allowing him the ability to modify the language as he deems appropriate to meet the legislative intent. And that legislative intent would be, at least from my perspective, would be that as a city, if we can unilaterally determine whether or not an individual account should be removed from the program. That can be for non-payment, that can be for something else that the city deems to be an appropriate reason.
Okay,
Just
I like
don't
that.
want anyone feeling like they have an
Very-
entitlement to it.
Very legislatively elegant.
Good job. We put it already in here. You know, that can translate.
If I guess I have two other questions before I make the formal motion. One, if I didn't see anything in here about gathering data, do we need to put, I know for me, as we look at this next year, I think it would be helpful if the city employees could gather data. I don't know exactly what all of that data would be.
Yes.
Do we need to include?
No, you won't
Provision.
need to include it because we will, it is done. We do that.
You can do that.
Not
Like-
on numbers, not names.
Sure.
I believe we can definitely, we will have numbers of households that participate.
Okay, two of the data points that I think would be
Mhm.
important to me would be the number of individuals in the household and then the age of the account holder. I don't know if that can be reported back to us. My understanding is that the impetus for this was to target our retired citizens who are on Social Security and very limited income in that respect. And I want to make sure that we can gather that data so that we can come back and evaluate it as a team. Are we hitting the people that we want?
Okay, I'm gonna need to talk with Candace. There are new privacy laws. And we have to be very careful about the information that we collect. So like the idea, but let us do some research on that.
Okay.
And so, yeah. But if we can, we will.
Okay.
All right.
The final comment question that I would have, and then I'm happy to try and make the motion. And this may be more of a comment to my colleagues here on the city council. Within the ordinance, the way it is written, there is no limit input by age. Is that something that we as a body want to entertain this year, or do we want to just move forward with it as it's written? Meaning, what I mean by that is, if the account holder is 50 years old, do we want to say you don't qualify? Do we want to say you must be a minimum of, I don't know what?
How would that work with disability? People who have disabilities, say I'm 45 and have a disability.
Yeah.
Or you're
I
single.
hadn't thought about that.
And if we're going to use the heat as our barometer, how deep do we want to go to impose extra work on staff?
Okay.
And does heat gather that information?
They do.
And
Dorothy Spence would,
okay, and
because they have to
Can we get-
provide social security numbers, dates of birth of all individuals living in the home.
We are not comfortable taking
well,
all that information.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Don't want that headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't want to be the keeper of that information.
No.
I would think for the first year that
Let's just go with it.
Yeah,
as it
this
is.
trial run and reevaluate it in a year when we get some information back. See how many people take a hold of it,
Okay.
see what we can find.
Mhm.
Give it a shot.
like it.
I think that's possibly what Mrs. Nils was asking about. We're looking for people on fixed incomes, right, to help them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So let's give it a shot and see.
I like that. And just one other, just comment is, I know if our intended group is that age, and maybe I'll make this comment for the messenger.
And I quote.
Yeah. That age group is usually our age group that is the least connected. We want them to know, we would like them to be the first in line. We hope that they are. I don't know how we get that. I do know that our older age group is probably more likely to be subscribed to the messenger. So I hope as a city, we get this out there the best way we can. And hopefully community partners can help us get that out there so that we can hit that target population.
And perhaps we can recruit Dorothy as she's signing people up for heat. If they live in Ephraim, say you might want to talk to the city about assistance for water and sewer.
She would, I know based on my conversation with her, she would be more than happy to, and if we have any questions, she'd be more than happy to come and present here and talk to us about that heat program, what they gather and that approach.
Could I ask one quick question, clarifying? Effective date is posting for this. Our rate increase may not be effective till later.
Mhm.
Do we want to make them effective at the same time? So we're not giving credits before we raise the rates.
Yes,
Section 4, effective date.
If you can just put the effective date in the motion, I can change it.
Just to be whenever the rate increase kicks in, then this program will become effective. Or whatever the date that is.
Everything July 1.
for sewer and for water, October 1st.
So in my motion, I would be fine to say the same date as the increase for that utility that will then kick in sewer at July 1 and water at that October date. Okay. And I'm sorry, I keep going on. I do have one other comment that I wanted to make sure that I just got out there. And one more, always one more. I did do the math. One of the things that I did is I wanted to understand from the perspective of as I spoke with some of my constituents, one of their concerns was, I don't mind helping out my neighbor, but what does it really look like to me? What's that number look like? Because if it's $100 a month, I don't know if I can get behind this. So based on the information that we provided to RCAC, we have about 1,977 connections to the water system. So there are and if our goal, we think we're going to hit about 50 to 55 families. That means roughly 1,900 connections will be, in a sense, subsidizing and helping their neighbor who is on a limited income. With $13,000 a year, dividing that out, that comes out to be each connection will be helping their neighbor out at less than $7 a year, a year. So around, I can't do that math quick enough.
Less than 7.
Yeah,
65 cents a month.
65 cents a month is about what we would be individually contributing to help these 50 families across the city. So, you guys, with that, ready for motion? Okay, let me see how I
This
can,
probably
how I can
the
do.
most complicated motion that a new council member could make,
Let's see. how
but he
we-
is a lawyer, so.
I move that we approve ordinance 26-09, enacting the Ephraim City Water and Sewer Utility Assistance Program with an initial annual budget cap of $10,000 for water assistance and $3,300 for sewer assistance for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. With the effective dates for the assistance program being tied to the same date as the rate increase hits the accounts. And to authorize staff to administer the program consistent with the ordinance, with one interlineating change to the ordinance itself in section F. Section
two.
Next, section 2. Yes, subparagraph F. 1, adding language that would allow the city to unilaterally terminate the assistance program with or without cause for an individual account.
Lovely.
For seconds that I want them to also say like section. Second. Very nicely done. All right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is unanimous. That was.
Good job. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, spending the time, we appreciate that. Yep. Very nice. You want to stay up there for your city manager report?
Yes. It's water night. I don't know if you've noticed, it is water night.
There's no water bottles here. I think
Oh,
we're
my
actually-
goodness, water bottles.
It's because we're on a short.
So we wanted to check in with you about the splash pad. We are in a very short supply of water. And we have been discussing as staff whether or not we should be running the splash pad. We have thought of perhaps just for Memorial Day weekend, turning it on, and then nothing for the rest of the year, maybe around the 4th of July. Jeff has some more information on this.
So, just.
You gotta come do it in the line so people online can see you. Thank you.
So just pulling up our reports from our SCADA system. We have been running, well number 1 already, nightly since April 20th, every single night. So we are not in a good spot this time of year. The spring flow is, last time I checked was last week, it was about 1,290 gallons a minute coming through the springs, which is significantly less than we usually are. I've looked back through my records for the last 20 years. This year is the lowest spring flow that we have had, at least since I've been keeping records for 20 years. So with that in mind, we have not run the well since it's been cold and wet, but I'm thinking in the next couple of days, people are going to turn stuff back on and we're going to be right back to where we are. So I'll leave it up to your judgment. I would say, you know, we probably could turn it on for the festival Memorial Day, run it for a week, but my opinion is if we have to run the well to supplement the splash pad, I don't think that's a good idea, but it's not my decision. I'll leave that up to you guys.
I don't have any idea how well it's used. Does anybody?
So I think the question is, Jeff, when would we normally be turning on the well?
Usually not till late July, August.
So we'd be turning on late July, August, and just ready.
Correct.
The well, are you talking
The well.
about how well the splash pad is used?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, is it,
Generally, we turn the splash pad on Memorial Day and then we turn it off on Labor Day.
yeah, I just wondered how many people are there on a regular basis.
In the
Is it,
summertime. But there's also just kids up there, just random kids up there that run over.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's where I was going.
Even this Memorial Day, it's gonna be cool enough that
Might not have any takers, actually. Yeah, it's gonna be in the 70s. I saw. Okay, so looking for direction from council on what you would like to do with the splash pad.
I think, sorry if I go ahead. A ton of folks that I've been speaking with, or have approached me, instead of asking for a grocery store, when are we gonna get a grocery store? It's, is Ephraim gonna make us turn off our sprinklers, right? Are we gonna be able to have lawns this year? And I have a lot of little kids and we go to the splash pad and that kind of thing, but I think we could be pretty wise, and I think if we didn't turn it on at all this entire year, people would understand this year. Maybe that's too drastic, but that's coming from the perspective of someone who utilizes it. I don't know how many times everybody in the room has run through that splash pad, but I do every year with my kids, and it's very cold water. But I think that, I guess I'm just trying to say there's an acknowledgement that this is a year like we haven't seen for a long time. And so people would understand, I think, if we had some sort of sign or something, just saying due to water restrictions. Because I think the residents in the town are expecting water restrictions at some point that we're gonna have to water. Just, we don't have them yet, but just a thought.
if we don't run it, does that run into a maintenance issue for next year? No, it'll be fine. Shut it off. Not like a boat. If you don't put it in the water, you still gotta fix it.
I'm happy to read and us make a decision, or I'm happy to allow the staff to use their best judgment. If all of a sudden it starts raining every day and we get a bunch of water and we're not running the well, and then they can use their judgment that we can do it for the 4th of July weekend or whatever.
All right, okay,
I think it would be helpful to, if we do that, to put some thought into putting some signage out there and potentially in our newsletter that says, so that residents know and understand, so they don't just.
On the social media page, we'll have some sort of schedule. We decide to.
For saving your tomatoes,
Yes.
yeah.
as
Okay.
opposed to splashing your children.
I think, and anything you can tell the residents, right, that makes simple sense to us.
Yes.
Right? That we can get that information out, because people ask me all the time, where do we stand with water? I've had 2 questions today about it. So, you know, I think they're gonna be respectful about it and try and do their best.
Right, and we're, you know, as of right now,
So,
I just get all the kinds of play on. So, as of right now, we're okay. I don't know what it's gonna look like in a month or two. I don't know how long the springs are gonna sustain before they drop off. So I'm hoping we can get through without restrictions with both of our wells. I don't want them both to be a 24/7 thing, but we'll just have to evaluate as the year goes on, so.
Agree.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
but yeah, to Dennis's point, at staff.
Yeah, speaking of,
Has got it, we're not.
yeah, speaking your mic, Anthony.
Yeah, I think staff can manage this, and yes, no better than.
All right. We will do so, and we'll keep you informed. We will be putting it in the newsletter, social media, and all the rest, so. But I think for this weekend, I think we will not run it. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, we'll be saying.
I don't see a need, it's gonna be so cool.
Show who the real Scandinavians are, I mean.
You need to put a
Yeah.
But it's on.
Then jump to the polar plunge.
It's not on the list, but on the second city council of the month, we have our annual monthly, our monthly council member reports for the committees that they have been assigned to. I don't know if Bud's been to any of these committees, but maybe we'll just go through the line and see what you have to report on your committees.
I attended the cemetery board meeting and then also they didn't have any information that they wanted me to bring back directly to this group other than I can report to. I did attend. Last Saturday, we had a cleanup at the Pioneer Cemetery that went well. In years past, we've really put a lot of people out there, so there wasn't a ton of work this year, but we were able to do that. And thank you to the city employees, that went around and picked up. One of the committee members, Ben Gordon, had trash bags that we could fill up, and then the city employees came and hauled all of that off, I believe. I haven't been back to double check, but I believe that that's been hauled off. And then today, as is tradition for Memorial Day, Scandinavian Days, we put up the flags at the cemetery. Included with that is placards and signs for individuals who are buried at our cemetery who served in the armed forces, as well as some kind of canvas banners that are on. So those, you have to go into the cemetery to look at those. They're attached to the American flags as you go down. And on the front, there are some canvas signs that are each of the individuals on an annual basis. They select one prior resident who served in the armed forces to honor them and give a life sketch about them. And those names, I think dating back to 2021, there's a banner that has their name on it. And I wish I could remember who it was that we are doing this year, but we're having a.
Whole story's in here, but it's.
Yes.
Canute Kimball.
Thank you. Yes, Canute Kimball Peterson is the person that we're honoring this year, and I believe you raised up the insert in the messenger that talks about Scandinavian Days, 101 things to do.
No.
Just a little point of interest. Kimball Canute Peterson was the grandson of Canute Peterson. He was one of the founders of Ephraim, founded Liskell College, etc.
If I remember the story correctly, he served, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you've got the story down, was taken as a prisoner of war. No, that was last year's. Okay.
Was put a unit in World War I that was, moving into France, and they did the entire unit net.
That's right.
Huge artillery and other fire,
You-
and the majority were killed.
It's out there in the cemetery.
Yeah.
They can go read it.
Yes, and on Monday, there's an event at the cemetery. Encourage people to attend that. That's, utility board hasn't met that I'm aware of since I've been in place, so.
Yeah, I talked to two of the members yesterday, and we're gonna repent. It's been resort though.
We're ready for Scandinavian Days, and we're excited it's here. Got a lot of planning and a lot of efforts, and so come and enjoy it. We'll have a float ourselves, right?
Yep, we got a float coming.
We passed Antonio's. Other than that, I missed last week, so I'm not sure what's on the double, but I'll tell you next.
That's on planning and zoning. Right, perfect.
Yeah, last week we met with the Youth City Council, and they're getting everything ready for Scandinavian Days. I've been in contact with Carl Nielsen, who's asked for their help with garbage pickup and stuff for the whole wedding event. I can't remember what that one's called.
Yeah, Stream Bulls.
Anyway, over the fairgrounds, last night we met as a library board, and there's also a youth library board, and there's 6 or 8 members of that, and they help out with the kids programming. And we're looking for 2 new members of the library board. We have a couple of individuals rolling off. So if you're interested, let me know, or Michael, and we'd love to have you join us. There's a new system at the library called Koha. We're getting pretty good reviews. People are liking that. So anyway, things are good there.
Take the oath.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when is the?
John would be mad at me if I didn't
Yeah.
remember the name, so it's take the oath.
Okay.
Is the bull riding.
Yes, okay, take the oath is the extreme.
Bull riding.
And thanks, yeah, so we're gonna have some of our youth city council there, emptying the trash.
Nothing to report. Yeah, nothing to report. Excellent. All right, are there any other comments, concerns, problems, complaints, issues? Then I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we adjourn city council meeting. Second.
Dennis Martell. But, all in favor?
Yes.
It's unanimous.